In this movie I'm going to show you how to reassemble your detail stripped 1911. First you're going to need to get your trigger. This dark piece right here I believe is called the over travel screw. When you put the trigger back in, it needs to be on the bottom. That is correct. That is incorrect. So grab your frame and put the trigger in from the back. It seats in just like that. Next you need to get your magazine release. Get the mag release, the spring, and the lock pin. Now I need the 1/16 Allen wrench to push it back in. And we're going to push it back in and then turn it counterclockwise. Next I need to put that into the frame. Now we're going to put it in, and that little lock pin I'm going to turn it clockwise. And when I do this I need to have it pushed all the way out like I was releasing the magazine, which is about right there. So I'm going to hold it. I'm going to turn that little lock pin clockwise. If done correctly, you'll hear the little click and it'll look like that. Next I need to get the disconnector, sear, and the Schwartz safety back in. When you put the disconnector and sear back together, when it's seated, it'll look like this. Now we're going to put the Schwartz safety in first. Now when you put them in, if you have the Schwartz safety comes in this smaller hole while the disconnector comes in this much larger hole. This is probably the only time I use the pliers. Now that's seated, I'm going to get the 1/16 Allen wrench. I'm going to put in from the right side and try to get it over to the left side. Not necessary, just makes it a little bit easier for me when I'm putting the retaining pin back in. Now I've finally got it through. I need to get the retaining pin. Of the 3 pins, it's the smallest one. I'm going to get it, and from the left side I'm going to put it in. Now the nice thing about the 1911 is there's basically no second guessing as to where certain parts go. Basically everything fits one way. Next you need to get your sear spring. Get the spring. You see it has a tail on it, or a little lip. That little lip goes into that cutout right there. Get it on, and right there. Lays right on top of the bottom of the disconnector. Next I'm going to get the mainspring housing, and I'm just going to put it in just to keep the spring from moving. Next your hammer goes in. It's going to go into that circular hole right there. You hear a click, then you get your pin for it, and then put it in from the left side. Let it go all the way back, and then pull the trigger to let it go all the way forward. Get your grip safety and put it in place. Now to keep from moving, I get the manual safety and I just put it in and let it basically hang there. And the important part is the little tail on the hammer needs to line up to get into that cap on the mainspring housing. This is why the hammer is back, or excuse me, the hammer is up. Now done correctly, it'll be lined up like that and you'll have a hole going straight through. Now the reason you don't want the hammer back is when the hammer's back, the mainspring housing keeps trying to jump down on you. Now you need to get the little retaining pin for it. You're going to put it through that hole. Now again, to do this, I basically just use a rubber mallet. Once in, it'll be flush, or at least extremely close to it. Next, you're going to put the safety in place. Have your little plunger. You notice it has 2 different heads. That head's going to go in the front over here. So you put it in, and it goes all the way in. Now for this, you need to have your hammer back. Next, you're going to get your safety. You're going to turn it to about right there. Now this is where I use a small screwdriver. I'm going to basically push the plunger that way while putting the safety in. Push down, and there it is. The frame is reassembled. Next we're going to reassemble the slide. First for the slide is going to be the extractor. Of the two holes, are going to come to this one on the right. Basically have the extractor on its back side, put it in, and then turn it to its correct side once it's in all the way. Next you're going to need to put your firing pin and firing pin spring back in. There, that's the firing pin, and there's its spring. Line it up in its hole. Depress this button right here, and it'll go in. Finally, what you need to do to reassemble the slide is get the firing pin slide stop back on. Now to do this the easiest way, you're going to go ahead and pre-align it, and then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to press on the button while also pushing the firing pin down and pushing the slide stop forward. So I'm going to go ahead and start pushing down the firing pin, push the button so it goes in all the way, and start sliding the stop forward. And the slide has been completely reassembled. As you can see, it's back to its field strip form, and we're going to completely reassemble it again. Barrel in first. Guide rod. Onto the frame. Now when you put it back onto the frame, make sure the frame's basically level and upright, otherwise your disconnector and Schwartz safety, if you have it, are going to basically stick up and keep the slide from going back easily. Go ahead and get it, and also keep that basically like that. Line up the holes. Put your slide stop lever into the first hole. That little notch, you're going to line it up with that square cutout. Put it in the middle right there. Get the lever, push in. Let the slide go all the way forward. Next you're going to get the barrel bushing. You're going to have it to the right, you're going to put it in, then you're going to turn it to the left. Now you're going to get your recoil spring. It has two ends. It has the open end and it has the closed end. This open end needs to come to the front like that. So basically you put it on the guide rod, and you get the cap for it. Put it down, turn the bushing a little bit, and put the magazine on it and depress more. Now when you have a full length guide rod where it has that extra cutout right there, it's usually harder to do and requires a magazine. If you have the GI guide rod and it doesn't have that cutout and it's flat, it usually doesn't require a magazine. But as you can see, the 1911 has been completely reassembled. Now before I go out and take it to the range or go do whatever with it, I usually do a firing test first. What I do is I basically close the slide, and what I'll do is I'll put the safety on. From there, I'm going to try to fire it, which it did not, and it did not while gripping the safety. I'm going to put it on fire, and I'm going to try to fire it without depressing the grip safety. Didn't fire, successful fire. And that's all there is to completely detail stripping your 1911 in government size. Thank you for watching, and Decaf is a nerd.